It's payday, so you already know what that means. And this payday, I took home $31,778.84. Every single time I get paid, and especially when I take home a larger paycheck like this, I like to use YNAB, the software that you see on screen, to go ahead and give every single dollar a job. Now, there are a couple ways to do this, but what I have found most helpful in the past is taking a look at YNAB's 5 questions that help you determine how you want to give those dollars a job or what jobs you want them to do. So the 5 questions focus on reality, stability, resilience, creation, and flexibility. For this paycheck, because I already have taken care of what this money needs to do again before I get paid, I have already covered the upcoming expenses that I have for next month. I also always take care of expenses that are regular but less frequent. So for example, I have sinking funds for things like my renter's insurance, also for my auto insurance, taxes and fees, car cleaning. So I feel good about covering the stability question as well. For resilience, again, looking slightly ahead to what I can put aside for next month's spending, although I typically prefer to be a month ahead. And right now I'm not. I still have put aside what I need to get started for the month. So I'm okay with that for now, and we'll build back to being a month ahead. So with this paycheck, I'm really focused on creation, or the goals, large and small, that I want to prioritize. And so with this check, I have a couple of goals that I will try to fulfill. The first is to increase my emergency fund. I think probably with just the way that the economy is shaping up right now and a sense of instability, especially in my industry and tech, I want to make sure that I'm setting aside money there. I also want to put some money toward my student loans, which I have been paying off regularly ever since the SAVE plan started accruing interest. So I want to make sure I continue doing that going into the new year, where I can really pump that up. And then I also want to set aside money for travel coming up. So those are my 3 goals, and they are different amounts. And I'll walk through how I'm going to go about assigning money to each of those. Okay, so we are going to take a look at this category group that actually I don't typically show in my budgeting videos. This used to be called emergency fund, and then I think I renamed it to rainy day readiness. But I really like nest egg. It's just a place where I can stash money that may be needed in some unforeseen circumstances, and I want to make sure that I have it set aside. So the first category here is flex fund. I think this used to be like an oh shoot fund, like an oopsie fund. And I was watching STEM Girl Budgeting's videos, and she had a flex fund that has a few $1,000s in it that she uses to cover any expenses that are pretty irregular but could be pretty costly. So I don't know, certain medical expenses or things like that. And so I really like that concept. I think shifting towards something like a flex fund versus a do not touch unless fund is something that's going to be much more workable into just how I manage my finances, because I have found myself tapping into this quite a bit. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and set aside $2,000 here to bring that up to what I like to have in there. You can see I also have my renter insurance deductible, my auto insurance deductible, and out-of-pocket max already funded. So I'm happy with the amounts that I have there. What I'm not feeling so great about is this 3-month expense category that I intended to work on contributing to this year. I haven't done such a great job there. As you can see, I only have $2,300. And so this is something I definitely want to bolster. So I think I'm going to set aside $15,700 to get this up to $18,000, and that is about 1 month and 1 week of expenses based on our average spending. In total, that gets this whole nest egg group up to $25,000, and if needed, I could shuffle things around, from category to category. But this feels like a solid start going into the new year, and from there, I can work on boosting that even more. So that's the first goal done. Next, I want to put $6,000 toward my student loans. With the SAVE plan, interest has started accruing. However, there are no payments that are due until 2028. So I've just been paying $2,000 a month toward my loans in order to knock off some of the interest and make a little bit of progress. I'm happy with that amount for 2025, but I think I will be upping that in 2026 quite substantially. So for now, I just want to set aside $6,000 so I can continue with sending $2,000 automatically over to the loans, and then I'll also work on adding larger chunks throughout the year. And then finally, let's see here. I want to add to my travel fund. You can see in my savings goals here, I have a next trip category, which is where it's my travel fund, where I stash any money for upcoming trips that I have not booked. However, I got a little antsy last month and I ended up booking a couple trips for 2026 in October. And so you can see we're underfunded here by $6,866.66. So that amount is the total for this trip. So we're coming in just under the $7,000 that I planned to allot to travel. So I will go ahead and hit that underfunded amount to bring us back current. So that takes care of the travel goal. And now I have $1,212.18 left to budget. So let me see what I want to do here by opening back up my primary categories that I use for spending throughout the month and throughout the year. Okay, so let's see what we want this money to do. I could go ahead and start assigning this into December to take care of more December expenses right away, but I think for now I will hold off on that and see if there's anything else I want to fund in the current month. I recently started therapy and my therapist does not take my insurance, unfortunately, so I'd have to pay out of pocket for sessions. So I think that I will set aside another $130 there just to have in my back pocket. And I think I will also, in my lifestyle category, which just has things related to quality of life, I think I will add enough to buy another class pass or another 5 class pass for my Pilates studio. I haven't run out of the 5 that I currently have, but just when it's time to re-up again, it would be nice to already have that set aside. And then I think I want to set aside, I do like going to the spa and I haven't been in a minute or regularly, so I think I'll set aside $250 in case I decide to do any spa treatments in the next couple of months. But other than that, I think things are looking pretty good for this month. Like what was supposed to come out has already come out. We are maybe a little bit tight on some of our food categories, so maybe I will add another $150 to get us through this last week. And then with this remaining $300, I think actually what I'm going to do is move that 471 to ready to assign from holding. And then I think I'm actually going to, we haven't really like dined out at restaurants recently. We've done a lot of takeout from restaurants, which is fine, but I think going into next year, I want to shift toward differentiating those experiences to ensure that we are like spending our money, really having enjoyable meals if we are going to like spend a bunch versus just sitting on the couch at home. So I'm going to set aside $310 for dining. Okay, and then with this $189, I will use that to add to ready to assign, or I'll add that to holding, and that is it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one for just a regular bi-weekly paycheck. Bye.